Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever stood up from a chair only to feel your knees and calves remind you that you're not 20 anymore? That stubborn HE, the stiffness, that slow burn discomfort, it's not just old age. It's a signal from your nervous system saying, I need support. The truth is, leg pain after 60 is often not just about joints or bones. It's about inflammation in your nervous system, poor circulation, mitochondrial slowdown, and nutrient deficiency. And yes, there are specific vegetables that can reverse this. Most people think medication is the only path forward, but science reveals something else. Nutrients from specific vegetables can target inflammation, restore blood flow, and nerve signaling without a prescription. Your legs aren't broken. They're just underfueled. Let me explain what happens as we age. As early as 50, the vasculature that supports our legs begins to lose flexibility. Capillaries shrink. Nerves begin to misfire due to oxidative stress. The result, pain, numbness, tightness, and even cramps in your hamstrings, calves, and ankles. Now, here's the breakthrough. Certain vegetables contain bioactive compounds that act like neurological reset buttons. They clean up cellular waste. They increase nitric oxide, boost ATP production, and reduce cytokine storms that's pain. So, what should you eat? Start with beets. They're rich in nitrates that enhance blood flow to the legs. Think of them as natural vasodilators. Next, spinach and kale, packed with magnesium and vitamin K, build cartilage and ease nerve excitability. Then add broccoli sprouts, which contain sulforaphane, a potent anti-inflammatory that rewires pain perception in your central nervous system. But it's not just what you eat. It's when eating these vegetables early in the day aligns with your body's natural cortisol and dopamine rhythms. Your metabolism is primed. Your brain's reward system is active. By sensing nutrition with your circadian rhythm, you accelerate healing and improve compliance. And here's what the research shows after 4 weeks of consistent intake. Older adults with chronic pain experienced over 40% improvement in mobility and reported feeling decades younger. You see, your nervous system is plastic. It can rewire. Even at 60 or 70, your body is listening. When you feed it the right compounds at the right time in the right way, you don't just reduce pain, you regenerate function. Close your eyes and imagine walking down the street without stiffness, climbing stairs with easy, dancing without hesitation. That's not just a fantasy. That's neuroplasticity fueled by food. So don't settle for decline. Reclaim your stride, your nervous system. Eat the vegetables that speak directly to your legs and feel 18 again, one bite at a time. Have you ever wondered why the legs, those two pillars that carried you through youth, begin to betray you after 60? Why stairs feel steeper, chairs feel deeper, and each step begins to echo with discomfort? It's not wear and tear, age alone. It's your nervous system broadcasting distress signals. Beneath the surface of muscle and bone, a cascade of micro-inflammations, impaired nerve conduction, and metabolic friction is unfolding. The pain in your legs isn't random. It's orchestrated by your sensory neurons, interpreted by your spinal cord, and modulated by higher-order brain centers that once regulated movement without effort. But after decades of cumulative oxidative stress, vascular stiffening, and dietary neglect, the brain-to-leg communication line begins to distort. Signals get delayed. Inflammation lingers. Recovery slows down. This is not a failure of the body. It's an opportunity because the same nervous system that has encoded pain can be reconditioned for performance. And here's the hooking. The food you eat directly rewires this circuitry. Certain vegetables don't just support your legs, they speak the biochemical language of your neurons. Leg pain after 60 is rarely just a musculoskeletal issue. It's a nervous system signal, a reflection of deeper dysfunction in how your brain and body communicate. The peripheral nerves that serve your legs, especially the sciatic, femoral, and tibial branches, rely on precise conduction velocity, intact myelin sheaths, and sufficient metabolic fuel to function optimally. As we age, chronic low-grade inflammation, also called inflammaging, damages the myelin insulation around nerves, slowing signal transmission and increasing pain sensitivity. The spinal cord becomes more reactive, amplifying even mild discomfort into persistent aching. Simultaneously, the autonomic nervous system, particularly the sympathetic branch, remains chronically activated. This fight or flight bias tightens blood vessels, reduces nutrient delivery, and keeps tissues in a state of heightened tension. When circulation drops in the lower extremities, nociceptors, pain-sensing neurons, begin to fire unnecessarily, mistaking nutrient deficiency and hypoxia for injury. At the same time, neuropeptides like substance P and CGRP flood the region, magnifying discomfort and perpetuating a pain loop that doesn't turn off. What's dopamine and acetylcholine production naturally decline with age. Motivation to move and the neuromuscular precision required for stability also suffer. But perhaps most importantly, the brain's motor cortex and somatosensory areas undergo structural changes with disuse. Regions that once lit up with each stride begin to dim, leading to less coordinated movement, more falls, and deeper dependence. This is not a mystery. It's a map of how the nervous system gradually shifts under pressure from diet, inactivity, and time. To initiate real change, the nervous system must be met with experiences that trigger the release of dopamine, a molecule not of pleasure, but of pursuit. Dopamine tells the brain that change is possible, that is worth it, that the action you take now has value in the future. The key is to connect what you eat with how you feel, not over weeks or months, but in immediate, noticeable ways. When you consume vegetables rich in nitrates, polyphenols, and magnesium, like beets, arugula, spinach, and Brussels sprouts, you're not just feeding your body, you're stimulating dopaminergic pathways in the midbrain that reinforce action. This biochemical shift creates a feedback loop. Eat, feel better, move more, release more dopamine. The more often this loop completes, the more it wires itself into your identity. You begin to associate forward motion with relief, vegetables with power, effort with ease. This is how neurobiology fuels habit, by linking behavior with reward. Even chewing and digestion send mechanical and chemical signals up the vagus nerve to the brainstem, reinforcing the sense that you're doing something good for your body. As dopamine rises, so does motivation. You take that extra walk. You stretch your calves longer. You drink more water without effort. Momentum builds not because your body is suddenly young again, but because your brain finally believes it's worth trying. Every cell in your body, every neuron, every muscle fiber, every immune signal follows a rhythm, a 24-hour clock deeply synchronized to lighting, and most importantly, nutrition. This circadian rhythm isn't just about sleep. It governs hormone release, metabolic efficiency, the pain sensitivity, and recovery after age 60. The body's internal clock become more fragile, more prone to disruption, and more reactive to what you put into it. And when eating vegetables rich in anti-inflammatory and vasodilatory compounds early day that doesn't just supply nutrients, it aligns with the body's peak cortisol levels, enhances mitochondrial responsiveness, and supports optimal gene expression for cellular repair. During the first half of the day, insulin sensitivity is highest, digestion is most efficient, and blood flow, muscles, and joints improves in response to nutrient signaling. When you introduce magnesium-rich greens, nitric oxide producing vegetables, or cruciferous compounds into the system during this window, they are more bioavailable, more potent, and more likely to trigger the cascade of benefits you seek. Improved circulation, less nerve hypersensitivity, more mobility. But when those same compounds are eaten late at night, when melatonin is rising and digestive processes slow down, the benefits blunt and metabolic friction increases. Circadian misalignment not only dampens the effects of even the most powerful nutrients, it can worsen systemic inflammation, reduce sleep quality, and prolong recovery from daily movement. Consistency is just as important as content. By anchoring your nutrition when the body's biological prime, typically within 2 hours of waking, you create a reliable signal to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the master clock in the hypothalamus, that healing is not only possible, but actively underway. Picture yourself walking barefoot through a grassy park at sunrise, the ground cool but forgiving, your knees bending without resistance, calves propelling you forward with spring-like ease. You're not limping. You're not pausing halfway to stretch out the pain. Your legs move in synchrony like well-oiled hinges, silent and smooth. This mental image is not fantasy, it's a tool. When the brain receives vivid, multi-sensory representations, especially ones involving motion and relief, it begins activating motor and sensory circuits even before any physical change has occurred. Visual memory pathways, particularly those in the occipital and parietal cortices, are deeply intertwined with the motor system. When you visualize ease of movement, when you consistently imagine vegetables as cellular repair agents, you reinforce those associations neurologically. See the deep reds of beet slices releasing nitric oxide into your bloodstream. See the vibrant green of steamed spinach delivering magnesium into tired, cramping muscles. See the tiny florets of broccoli triggering detoxification in swollen joints. These images don't just linger in your conscious mind. They recruit the hippocampus to catalog them as real, assign emotional salience, and increase the likelihood of behavior repetition. Your brain is hardwired to follow stories it can see. So when you prepare your next meal, when you place those vegetables on the plate, make the visuals deliberate. Make the textures colorful. Make the associations emotional. Your nervous system craves direction, and the more clearly you show it what healing looks like, the more likely it is to respond with the neurochemical shifts required to make that vision a physical reality. Your brain never stops learning. Your body never stops adapting. Even in your 60s to 70s or 80s, the architecture of your nervous system remains plastic, ready to rewire in response to intention, repetition, and the right internal environment. Every bite of nutrient-dense vegetables sends chemical instructions to the brain and spinal cord, signaling safety, capacity, and possibility. The prefrontal cortex begins to strengthen focus and decision-making. The motor cortex adapts to smoother, more confident movement. The limbic system, once overloaded with the emotional weight of chronic pain, starts to shift toward calm and control. You are not at the mercy of age. You are in command of a system that still listens to input. When you introduce consistent nutritional signals, when you choose foods that reduce inflammatory cytokines, support synaptic plasticity, and regulate neurotransmitter of balance, you are literally sculpting new neural pathways. The more you act in alignment with healing, the stronger those circuits become. Pain does not have to be your baseline. Mobility does not have to be a memory. Neuroplasticity means that the body and brain can be taught to function differently. Not once, not briefly. How do we? But permanently through repetition. Each time you rise without pain, each time you walk a little farther, each time you make a meal that supports your nervous system, you're reinforcing a new default setting. The synapses that fire together wire together. And when those signals are tied to nourishment, movement, and intention, they build resilience that compounds over time. This is how you don't just recover function, you reclaim agency. You're not reversing time. You're retraining the system that tells time what to feel,